Well, finishing up here at Northfield Park, a bit of an odd night. I expected to get poured on all night. We lucked out and got rained on a little bit, but the mud didn't, the mud did not materialize, and it ended up being an okay night weather-wise. I did want to start with a couple of people had asked me why Slam Deo is scratched on Thursday. I was a little miffed over it. I didn't realize, but they had her in the maiden for colts and geldings. So 2 horses were scratched out of there. They're going to end up going with a 7-horse field. I mean, my take on it is simple. Why not just take the colts and geldings off the top and call it a maiden? I was still going to race them. I had no problem racing them, but that wasn't an option. Apparently, we ended up scratched, so we're going to end up missing a week, which is even more frustrating than anything else. I looked. There's nothing for her anywhere at all this weekend. Non-winners of 2. I'm not racing her in that at Northfield. Obviously, they've already drawn all the cards for this week at the Meadows. There's no racing on Saturday. Nothing at Miami Valley, and that was really the extent of my investigation in regards to where we're going. So at the end of the day, it sucks, but we're going to have to miss a week. And I really thought, looking at, and I wasn't just looking at colts and geldings fillies, I was looking at her competition. It looked to me like we were going to be winners. They're very, very close again, which was frustrating to me, but is what it is. It's not my call. It's the judges in the race office, and they decided to take her and what I presume is another filly out of the class. To see there was 2 scratched. So that was that in regards to Slam Deo. Not much we can do there. Reporting back to you also, the babies trained great this morning, apparently. I haven't heard from Dominic yet, but I talked to James. For about 20 minutes. I just finished messaging him back and saying, hey, is there a 3-year-old 15 or 20 claimer at Mohawk? Before I look, just is there one? Because this AJ horse is just not going to do in these classes over here. He's certainly not going to do in the Buckeye. You want to know how tough the Buckeye is? Burke put all his best horses in the Buckeye Saturday at Scioto rather than race them in the Sire Stakes up here at Northfield Park. That's how tough the Buckeye is. Imagine racing against Swingtown and sipping on Sea Rock and those horses in a Buckeye in Scioto with Broser and AJ. Lord above. Something's got to be done with AJ. I'm not going to continue to race this horse the way he is. He raced terrible tonight. We drew his blood last week. There was no tie-up. There was a tiny speck of blood found, but nothing that would indicate that he would race terrible. And then for him to come out and race the way he did tonight, I was just really disappointed. And it looks to me like he's just not going to pace 54 over Northfield. Somebody messaged me today and was asking about AJ. The reality of the situation is Northfield is not the Northfield of old. This is a slow half-mile track now. It is all those track records that are on. I said this before. There'll never be another track record broken at Northfield Park ever in the history of this track with that track. It's just not fast enough. So I don't know whether he just can't pace 54 at Northfield Park, whether he liked Mohawk better, whether he liked those classes better. I have no idea, but he's certainly not fitting in the ones here. As far as I see it, now, I was going to say we have 2 options. We have a few options. The first one would be send him back to Mohawk if there is a claimer there for him. He's not going back to racing the straight numbers 2, numbers 3. That's not happening. Other option is sell him, which is possible. I mean, he's still, to get around the smaller tracks that aren't going to go in 54, I think he would do very, very well. The third option would be to race him somewhere else that isn't Northfield or Scioto. I could easily just say put him up for sale and be done with it, but I'm going to chew on this for a little bit. I'm going to ponder it overnight into tomorrow morning, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with AJ. But certainly can't race here as is the way he's racing. Just 57, 56 in a piece just isn't going to cut it, and he needs to do a better job. I think the thing that bothers me the most is he's got this beautiful gait, and I just don't see any reason why he can't be a better horse. But he hasn't been as of yet. So we'll turn the page on that. Like I said, I'm going to ponder it. I'm going to look at all my options moving forward, and then we're going to make a decision with respect to our boy Rosemont AJ. Now, next up was Aunt Lily. I'm coming in a little flat-footed, right? I was expecting a good mile from AJ. I got a poor one. I didn't want this to turn into one of those nights where everything went wrong and you're sitting there cursing and swearing, going under your breath, going out the gate on your way home. I let her trot out of there a bit. Everybody was leaving on the inside. I just ducked her over. I think Aaron made a break, and I was able to just drop over in the 5-hole or something. Now, I was coming with a full head of steam. I believe if Luke doesn't come out in front of me, it's not his fault. I wish he hadn't of, but that's racing. If he hadn't of, I think I just storm right up alongside the leader. Do I beat him? I don't know, but I'm definitely not worse than second. I would have liked to find out, put it that way. Not a bad mile from Aunt Lily. Again, closing from off the pace, second and 58. Somebody messaged me tonight and said, when are we going to see these 55, 56 miles of last year? Well, I can tell you the first time you're going to see them is when she gets away from Northfield Park. That will be your first option to see them, because you're 100% absolutely not going to see a mile in 55 from Aunt Lily over Northfield. That's a guarantee, 100%. So I suspect as the summer starts up and gets moving forward, if we can find places to race her consistently. They say they're going to race, they're going to write classes here at Northfield Park. They're going to write non-winners to 70 and winners over 70, but not more than 100 and some for 3-year-olds at 3 and 4-year-olds. I think maybe the way it was portrayed to me was 3-year-old non-winners to 70 for fillies, 3-year-old winner over 70, 3 and 4-year-old winner over 70 Ohio breds, 4-year-olds with more than 150 made not eligible. I believe, if I'm correct, that's the way it was portrayed to me. I believe. Irregardless, Aunt Lily finished second tonight, scooped up a little more money, and we're going to push forward with her again. Freedom Hill was kind of let me down a little bit. She's not going to sprint that big eighth on the end of it, but man, I believe if I was able just to get her to the outside, I almost did in the last turn, but I was worried if I came out onto Kurt's back, flipped her 3 wide, and Aaron beat me, or even worse over, won the race up the inside, I'd be really mad at myself. So I just played it conservatively, stayed left, dropped her into the passing lane. She never made up an inch of ground. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, she lost maybe a half a length. I don't think she raced bad, but it certainly didn't race great. An okay mile from her, but not the 54 or 55, or it didn't seem like that anyway, that she showed in Miami Valley. Although I guess it's worth noting that she was beating the non-winners at 4 going into those 2 Miami Valley races. So, raced okay. Again, I wasn't disappointed. Admiral Dio, I left out of there with him, pushed him to the front, and I just said to Aaron, when Aaron removed, I said, you don't have to worry about this guy going by you. He's a lover, not a passer. If he had left me alone in the front, I think I'm 1-2. But allowing Brooklyn Wolf to clear him down the backstretch, and I kind of had to squeeze my way out getting into the last turn. I got clipped in the last turn, and then he ended up a very ordinary 5th, but can't really fault him. You know, he had that one run coming off the gate to the front, and then he had that one run coming off the gate to the front, and then, you know, what are you going to do? He's just not in him. He's not a killer. He's just a horse. I thought we were in a real good spot. It looked on paper like Aaron's horse was a lock, and I would have been happy to be second. But as it turned out, he wasn't, and I had to kind of fend for myself down the backstretch, and he got what he could get. He was 5th. Blue Ventura raced great. You know, Aaron, I think, was a little miffed at me after the race because I quick moved him going to the quarter pole. But, you know, here's the thing. I don't like being screwed over. And, you know, James left out of there. I get it. I could have dropped him in the 2-hole quarter pole, but I didn't really want to be on the front with Blue Ventura. And quite frankly, if I moved to the front quick at the quarter and Aaron comes, I cut him loose. I would have been happy to sit behind him. I just wasn't sitting in a spot where I had to be first over again into one of the co-favorites, myself or him. I just didn't want to do that. So I blasted him to the front. I put the brakes on right away, and Aaron ended up first over, but his horse looks like a bit of a grinder, and he had to kind of grind up alongside me, and I just left him out there. He's racing. At that moment, I decided I would rather be on the front and either let Aaron go or not let him go than be first over into Aaron. That's how I felt the race would go at that point. And that's the decision I made. What are you going to do? It's racing. Not much you can do about it. And then the last race, I was a little miffed. Oh, he'll know. She just seemed flat tonight. Was it Lasix? Was it the ship over here? Was it her first start on a half-mile track? I have no idea. There's 4 or 5 more questions I could heap on top of there. At the end of the day, I warmed her up and she made a break. I scored her down. She made a break. We changed her gear after the warm-up, added weight to the front end, took the boots off her behind and went to bandages, polos, and vet wraps. Scored her down. She run again. Pulled her hobbles in. Now, because they had a rain delay, and you guys didn't notice this, but in one of the races, the gate malfunctioned. So in the delay for the gate, in delaying the races a little bit anyway and dragging them, what happened was they were behind schedule. So by the time I got her scored down once and tightened her hobbles up, I went to score her down again. The gate pulled out onto the track. They're going to go. Now I'm blind. I don't know if what I just did is going to help her hurt. I knew I had to nurse her around the first turn. I get stogged down 5th along the rail. The young Hanners kid is on the move early. I can't move her going into the turn at the quarter. I just can't do it. I can't risk her making a break. And I have no idea if she's going to. My feeling is she gets through the first turn okay. She gets through the second turn okay. Well, at that point, we can get her going. Well, I can't. Everybody's underway. Third turn, she trotted okay. She was running out a bit. Ryan's horse was running in a little bit. Squeezed him. He made a break. Then I came out, moved her 3 deep, and I had to she drifted again, getting around Braden, coming out of the last turn, and ended up on video, visually it looks like she finished up her mile, but she was rather flat, to be honest. Maybe she was short. Maybe it was the Lasix. Maybe it was the trip. Maybe it was the track. Track was deep as hell along the rail. She kept flip-flops on. I tried to keep her out of that footing best I could. The reality was she was ordinary. She was okay. So looking back on tonight, I would say Aunt Lily raced good. I know everybody's just assumed she's going to go into the Buckeye and just obliterate them. That's not the case. These grassroots races, the same as Ontario, the same as Pennsylvania, same as Kentucky, anywhere else, they are tough. There's no cakewalks. Aunt Lily finished up good, finished second to a horse on the front end that got everything his own way, her way. So good second. Freedom Hill, an okay third. I would have at least liked to see her drive up into a photo, but instead she was a complacent third. Slam Deo, his 5th was not a bad 5th. He worked hard to get to the lead. He worked hard after that. He kind of gets stogged. That's not his MO, right? Leave hard, let somebody remove, sit in the 2-hole, have the horse walk in front of you, ask him to accelerate out of a hole. That's just not him. That's not his jam. He doesn't do it. Can't blame him. I thought we had a great trip. It turned into a bad trip real quick. Blue Ventura raced fantastic tonight. Again, didn't obliterate them, didn't overpower them, just did his work well and got the job done. So good job by him. And oh, he'll know, if you'd asked me going to the gate, will she trot, I would have said 30% chance she stays trotting. After what I've seen from the warm-up, scoring her down, having to change all this gear, and then not getting to score her down again, having to put her nose up on the gate, I would have given us 30-35% max of her trotting. She went through the mile. Didn't offer to run, but I didn't give her an option. Well wide coming out of the turn. And upon review of the race, again, it looks like she finished up her mile well, but felt okay to me. Now, we might have missed the rain today. Don't think we're going to miss it tomorrow. Melisandre in the mud. Neptune in the mud. Vehement in the mud. Mounds for All in the mud likely tomorrow. But I'm hopeful. Happy with the news out of Ontario that they all trained well. I can tell you, and I'll report exactly what was reported to me. Pacers went 2-3, Trotters went 2-4. Everybody's getting very close and ready to rock, which is good to hear. They all trained well over here today. We certainly didn't go in 2-3 and 2-4. We could, no problem. We'll start separating them now, looking at horses that need to be ready. When do they need to be ready? You're looking at the next generation horses, so you're going to say, as of right now, Uncle Danny needs to be ready. Maybe keep Emerald Chip and even Supermind on call, just in case something happens. Have them close to qualifying also, ready to go. The Philly Trotters, Tomboy Strong right now, needs to be ready to go. June 15th, qualified and ready to go. So again, you'll start to see them separate on Sarah. Again, play probably the backup role. If we were to make those decisions today, that's what they would look like. I'm missing somebody also. A whole bunch of nice fillies and colts there. And paces are easy. Diosa Della Donza and Highest Honors. Both could go a mile 58, 59 right now if they had to. They don't have to, but they do have to be ready for June 15th. It is the 20th of May. So that's where we're at right now. As I said, we'll start separating some of the horses. The Kentucky Stakes start June 28th. Blue Rare, if we want to have her ready. Tompkin Gears starts June 26th or 28th, somewhere around there. So those are a group of horses that need to be on maybe a more expedited path, accelerated program, so to speak, although they're all, for the most part, ready to go right now. So I'm happy to report I'm happy with the babies on both sides of the border. Really happy with what I've seen. The only stragglers will get there. Neuromancer was castrated today, and the Green Shoe Colt with the foot, I can't remember his name, Hanger One. He walked sound to the water treadmill today and walked sound back. So we're on the right track. We're getting there. We'll be there very, very soon. So that's where we're at right now at the stable. I could have done this video tomorrow morning, but I did want to get all this stuff. Really, I wanted to report about, one, the babies. I told you I would do that. And two, the scratch of Grand Slam Deo. Had a couple of people ask me. So now you're updated in that regard. You know all about every baby. You know exactly what took place at Grand Slam Deo. And now you're completely updated on the racing this evening. Good luck to everybody for the rest of the week. I will talk to you all very soon. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.